Hello. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from whichever part of the world you are joining. A very, very warm welcome to today's session. Thank you for taking your time to attend this session, and we wish to make it as insightful as possible. Today, we have the privilege of hosting someone who has seen the world of digital transformation in healthcare and pharmaceuticals industries like few others. With over 3 decades of experience in leading IT and digital portfolios, we welcome Mr. Sreeji Gopinathan to this discussion. We are glad to have you, Mr. Sreeji. To be precise, Sreeji has worked with some of the most respected names in the industry, including ABB, Reckitt, Philips, and Lupin, bringing innovation to the forefront of complex industries like pharma, healthcare, FMCG, and warehouse automation. He also brings extensive industry experiences on topics like intelligent automation, data analytics, and specialized technologies like AI/ML and RPA. His exceptional leadership for value creation has earned him prestigious Top Global CIO 100 award, and we are excited to have such an experienced industrial expert joining us in this session today. In his new role as founder of CEO of SKG Advisory, Mr. Sreeji continues to guide organizations through their digital journeys using his wealth of knowledge to solve real world business problems. Very glad to have you, Mr. Sreeji. A few words about yourself, please.
Thanks, Virginia. Good evening, everyone. You've already introduced myself, so I don't think I need to say much. As you said, I've been in the corporate world doing the technology leadership roles in different organizations. I've taken the jump into the entrepreneurial journey over the last few months, but I'm still working with many organizations, helping technology leaders and non-technology leaders, make business transformation, business growth, and many other impactful journeys that they are going through. So I'm really lucky to be associated with some of those very ambitious organizations. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Great to have you again. Also with us today in this session is Mr. Pavithran Ayyala, who comes with rich professional experience spanning over 25 years, associated with various Fortune 500 companies over the years. He has many groundbreaking contributions in the areas of digital transformation, in petrochemicals, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, retail, and also e-commerce. Presently at Utthunga, he heads the digital IT services and is the CIO, leading a skilled team of over 1,000 engineers in providing innovative industrial solutions. Glad to have you with us, Mr. Pavithran. Few words from you, please.
Thank you, Sojana. It's a pleasure to be part of this panel along with you and Ms. Sreeji.
Pleasure is all ours, sir. Thank you so much. So as we set to start this event, we encourage viewers to share your comments, the questions in the comment section throughout the session. Feel free to post your questions, comments, and we'll dedicate the last 5 to 7 minutes to address them. And we are really looking forward to an engaging discussion here. And so, audience, the pharmaceutical industry is changing fast with technologies like generative AI and RPA. And in this webinar, we'll explore how AI is transforming everything from drug discovery to production, quality control, and compliance. With insights from industry experts present here, we'll look at how AI can boost efficiency in operations and supply chain, and even help deliver most personalized treatments to patients. On that note, my first question is for Mr. Sreeji. Sreeji, you've witnessed the traditional as well as steadily evolving technologies over the last 3 decades. In today's scenario, how do you think the AI and its extended technologies are transforming industries?
Thanks, Sojanya, for the question. AI and technologies transforming industry, so we can call them transformative technologies. If you really think about it, what is it? It's technology which can significantly and positively. That's a very important point. All of these can have negative utilization opportunities, but technologies which can significantly and positively disrupt the way we work, live, and do business. Yeah, that's what is transformative technology, right? So what you can see is that such technologies impact how we live our life, our business operates, how interactions with customers, stakeholders, vendors, and other players happen, whereby it can have an impact in the way a business grows, revenue streams can get impacted, and how a product gets developed, how a service is delivered, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's what transformative technologies is. Now, pursuit of the mankind to make progress, and make a positive impact on our daily lives has resulted in technologies like artificial intelligence, Gen AI, high performance computing, and so on and so forth. The pace of innovation, of course, has picked up over the last couple of decades, but last couple of years has seen an unbelievable and unprecedented acceleration in terms of the innovation that was coming out, to the extent that we are now already, it's not something for the future, already we are seeing some of the sci-fi concepts becoming a reality, and making inroads into daily life, professionally as well as personally. I mean, some of the examples that we can already see is autonomous vehicles, and that's not just in the in the roads, right? It can be in the factories, it can be in the warehouses, the robots doing work on the shop floor, and so on and so forth. We also see that in the form of accelerated research and development, and in pharma, that means you can come out with medicines much faster to make an impact for the society positively. In the sales and marketing, even we see assisted, nudge based, artificial intelligence based mechanisms where sales and marketing people can have that engagement very constructively and positively, and in a very sharp manner in the very little time that they get with their customers and stakeholders. We also see a lot of other things like content generation and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, AI and extended technologies is impacting everything that is going on around us, and in both in personal life as well as in the professional world. That's what I would say to start with.
Yes, transformation technologies indeed. And on that note, and when it comes to drug discovery, we understand it is quite crucial and at the same time complex for pharma industries. So, how do you think AI is useful in this context, and if it is possible specifically for Indian pharma drug development?
Yeah, so drug discovery. When we talk about that, it is primarily applicable for original molecule, development, research and development activity that happens primarily in the big pharma. In the Indian pharma, there are some molecules, there are some original molecules that that gets researched and developed, but that is not the bulk of the activity that happens in Indian pharma. So if you look at the big pharma, the concept of artificial intelligence combined with Gen AI definitely creates a significant opportunity in terms of conducting the appropriate test, analyzing, and coming out with conclusions on what the results could be based on the different parameters, the clinical trial process getting accelerated, and so on and so forth. But when you ask about Indian pharma, it's a slightly different story, right? Here, the question is about how quickly can you bring drugs, which is it could be simple medicines, or it could be biosimilars, it could be complex generics, those kind of medicines. How quickly can you bring them to the market when the patents are expiring? So and also the companies who are coming out with that needs to understand which molecules will be the most effective in terms of the market possibilities. So searching through the patents literature which is out there, and coming out with recommendations in terms of priority requirements for the market, and then sorting through millions of bytes of data to come out with recommendations on how to go about creating those most impactful generics, biosimilars, and complex generics medicines, is where Gen AI can play a significant role. Because Gen AI, as we know, can sort through existing content and come out with quick inferences very, very quickly. And development activity in Indian pharma is all about that. Is all about patent search, literature search, document search, figuring out which medicines can have the maximum impact. How do we create the composition of the molecules in a faster manner, looking at already existing data, and that means it could be cutting years out of the activity in terms of the research and development. So it is high time that Indian pharma really looks at this in a positive manner, looking forward into the future and making significant strides in this area. So yeah, I mean that's what I'll say in a high level. But what even in Indian pharma, the clinical trial and associated process associated with that, that's not very different from big pharma, right? So there also there's going to be pretty much help that is going to come up. Now one part, as I said, is looking at the content and coming out with proposals and ideas. Now once the actual testing activity starts, then the review process itself can get facilitated. So basically there can be really good content personalization, which means medical, legal, regulatory reviews, which becomes a bigger bottleneck. GenAI can facilitate this review process by automating the pre-screening of materials and assisting in the parts of process performed by people, identifying what are the shortcomings, what are the risks, referencing any claims around that, and drafting the documents around that. So essentially, my take is based on all the research that I have done and some of the early results that I've seen in some of the use cases, there can be up to around 30 to 40% efficiency that Gen AI can bring in this area.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's nice. Large volumes of data and breaking it into relevant pieces and then leveraging it to be able to have better insights and better deliverability. Fantastic. So, on that note, my next question is to Mr. Pavithran. Quality control and regulatory compliance are critical in pharma. Then, how can AI help make these processes more efficient and accurate, especially when we are talking about maintaining high standards across different regions?
So, Sojan, as Sreeji mentioned, AI and Gen AI is creating value across the pharma value chain, not only limited to quality or compliance,
Right.
but if you see the global pharmaceutical industry is about 1.6 billion, sorry, 1.6 trillion. So this industry is significantly facing a problem of batch failures, which is about 7% during the production. So that is creating a lot of supply chain disruption and also medical, medicines shortages. So to address, and also each batch, failure can result into 20K to about $2 million. So this is a huge financial losses to the organizations. And traditionally, pharmaceutical industry is more manual, human driven, paper driven. So with these technologies, now we can have a predictive quality control and also some good advisors for or investigators for deviations and also root cause analysis. So as Sriji mentioned, the AI, Gen AI can handle lots of data, volumes of data. So understanding the historical batches, these Gen AI's AI models can predict the failures, and it can even recommend operators or identify the failure patterns, and it will reduce the root cause analysis cycle time from 4 to 8 weeks to maybe 50% in some of the cases. So these things will add lot of value, productivity, and also helps us to prevent the failures of these batches. Even if we can reduce 10% of batch failures, that results into huge savings for these organizations, which can be redirected to R&D and other programs which would take the healthcare across the globe to the next level. And also, from the compliance point of view, what happens in production is it creates a lot of exceptions, right? every process in pharma is driven with an SOP. So if there are any exception, and if any sensors or any equipment is throwing some alarms, right? It could be in hundreds. So we cannot have manpower to go and check each and every exception alarm, and I understand what is that causing. So AI/ML plays an important role to categorize these exceptions, to categorize these alarms, and help or guide operators or guide quality people to really focus on the exceptions which can result into incidents or the failures or which can impact the medicinal values, right? Because patient care is an important, utmost important. So this way, Gen AI and AI ML playing a very important role in the pharma quality and compliance related matters.
That's very insightful, Pavithran. A lot of information here, absolutely. So that will definitely enable efficient and accurate mode of control, quality control, production, and compliance when it comes to pharma. Surely. Then, Mr. Sreeji, you've led automation efforts across large organizations. So, how do you think AI, particularly generative AI, can optimize pharma manufacturing and supply chain operations? I mean, what challenges do you foresee in scaling these solutions in this industry?
Yeah, AI has, as Pavithran was just explaining, there's a lot of opportunities across the manufacturing and quality area. SOPs is one example he took, and some of the typical use cases that many organizations have already tried and succeeded in some cases are, the predictive asset maintenance. Making sure the maintenance activities requirements are picked up as early as possible so that it doesn't result in unplanned breakdown, which again has will become a reason for batch failures. Okay, so it is not just about the maintenance, but actually making sure there is no batch failure because of a machine breaking down. So that's a significant one, and here making sure that those parameters, which is not just about the process parameters of the medicine, but also other data points, the ambient conditions, speed, vibration, temperature, etc. All those needs to be picked up. So AI plays a significant role in this. Now, what Gen AI can do here is that interaction with the human, element of this whole activity that needs to be carried out. So people can actually start using Gen AI to figure out where could potentially be failures happening based on all the analytics and inferences that AI will throw out. So that's a great value add that Gen AI brings on top of Gen AI, on AI itself. Similarly, there are waste and energy management is another one. Automated batch release is another one. So here again, automated batch release in pharma uh, cannot always be at this stage of maturity in Indian pharma, especially, we cannot foresee that it's going to become completely automated, and hence that human interaction, the human and Gen AI interaction, can be facilitated through Gen AI. But for sure, we can move the needle towards going as close as the automated batch release mechanisms possible. Throughput and yield optimization is another one. One interesting one that I have seen working very well from a Gen AI point of view is root cause analysis. So basically, what that does is understanding all the data that is coming through. In terms of the quality samples taken, process parameters, other data that needs to come in from the ambient conditions, etc. If something has failed, then how do you get to the root of that? The typical fishbone analysis or the why analysis is what we employ still in most of the organizations to get to the root of that. Now, what if we can automate that using AI and Gen AI? So automate it through advanced analytics and using Gen AI to go through that why analysis. That can accelerate that whole process of RCA to a much faster level. So that means you are getting to the root of the problem much quicker, and hence you are able to take actions to rectify that, and hence it doesn't repeat in the subsequent batches that So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is Gen AI brings speed, brings quality, and how we can use that effectively without hallucinations. Right? That's a worry that most people have. And what do we do to do that? Is to make sure that the data sets that we feed for the trainings, it has to be of good quality. It should be your own data rather than picking up from public domain. Now, you asked about challenges in how to make it happen. See,
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenge that we have is a lot of the machineries that we have there, and the connectivities that we have established to generate the data digitally. That itself remains the biggest challenge when it comes to this. We all know that in our plants, in our factories, there's a lot of old equipments which are not connected, and hence the data itself is not available. Now, that's the primary concern. Secondary concern: when the data is available, I'll say this openly, there is fear of data, right? And hence, afraid to actually use the insights the data is throwing out. Is it going to put me at risk when I have that much visibility? That thought process is there. I don't know why we are still in that phase. We should be thinking out completely in a 360 degrees, sorry, 180 degrees, and we should say, let me get that visibility of data and get some positive outcomes out of that. This is the other challenge. Again, this is not a technical thing, right? This is the mindset of people that I'm talking about. Other issue that I have seen where the connectivity is there, there is the fear of data is overcome. People go and implement the use cases without thinking through whether I'm trying to address the right problem. Because somebody else has done it, I am going to do it as well. But it may not necessarily bring any benefits to your organization. So don't get into the trap of asking consultants, okay, what are the typical 10 use cases that you've done somewhere else? Let me try that as well. Instead, look in your organization, identify your bottlenecks, your problems, and come up with those statements so that you can use AI and GenAI to solve them. And then, even if you have done that question, the next level problem that I see is you have not actually baselined your current situation. So you let's say you've thought through that, you have identified a problem and you're going to address that problem, but you have not actually baselined it from all the measurements that you're doing, all the KPIs that you're doing. It could even be financial data, but it could be operational parameters as well. So if you have not done that baselining properly, even after thinking through, then after implementing, you don't know whether that outcome that you've achieved is actually making an improvement or not. So baselining and then designing based on that measurements that you have put as the baseline to achieve the next level improvement using all these different technologies is going to be very, very important. So I think these are the different levels of challenges. There are a lot more challenges, data governance oriented challenges, responsible AI and ethical AI, all those things are there. But I think fundamentally these points that I talked about becomes the basis of not being able to realize benefits out of the work that a lot of organizations are doing.
That's wonderful. So the journey actually starts with a business use case and what you're trying to solve. And at an enterprise level, you are clear of what you're trying to solve and then how these technologies can help you solve them. So it all starts with great. Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Pavithran, you mentioned about the role of AI in quality control, production, and compliance, right? So, will you be able to share a few use cases, some success stories that where Utthunga has helped its clients overcome typical industrial challenges? Can you throw some light?
Yeah, certainly. Like especially in the quality and manufacturing space, as I mentioned, categorizing the deviations is a challenge. So most of the organizations you know going through a manual process which might be inadequate. So what we have done for one of the customer is we have created a conversational interface uh, based on GenAI and AI. What it does is it goes through all the batch analytics or batch data, and it will give insights on the deviations, and also it categorizes the deviations, and it will also assign the criticality, so the quality people can prioritize where to start. So this really, help the customers to, cover all the, key exceptions and, deviations or alarms, reviews. And also this digitalization enable them to, have audit ready documents. So at any point of time during the internal or external audits, if someone wanted to, review why so and so exception has, generated, and who has, addressed it, who has approved it, so we'll have the documentation ready. So you can go and click on that, a PDF is generated, and you will be able to see the complete history. So another, you know what we have developed, Sreeji already covered this on the SOPs, right? So there are number of SOPs, and we have, employees, with, decent, or, with, a limited experience at sometimes. So they wanted to, use this, bot to understand, what are the, importance of an SOP, and are there any checklist. So this bot can on fly create a checklist, what they need to focus on. And also it will create a, if in case any problems are there, it will even give a, draft cover plan. So these are all, a couple of, case studies what we have successfully deployed. We are working on some other, you know um, case studies also. Maybe in the interest of time, I will, maybe, cover in the next session. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. In that case, Mr. Sreeji, in the interest of time, again, you have really shared a lot of insights, but as a closing statement or whatever, you can throw some light on, how do you think we can ensure success in the journey of implementing AI in first time right approach, if at all there is something like that, where you can say this could be the journey, this could be your starting point, or any recommendations, anything that you would like to give away to our audience.
Yeah, although this is transformative technology and it sounds like very high tech, I think the one thing that I would say is keep it simple. First, first understand what is the problem that you're going to solve, and for you to use these kind of transformative technologies, are you in a state of infrastructure and data to be able to apply those technologies in your shop floor or supply chain or R&D or sales and distribution or whichever area you're trying to attack. That's the important thing, right? The data has to be available. You don't want to be in a position where you have a lot of paper and then you're going to scan and use OCR and NLP to translate that data to do analytics. You don't want to do that. You're just doing use cases for just because you want to do AI use cases. That is not going to bring any benefits to the organization. So, if you look at the different layers of architecture from the shop floor to OT to IT to data layer and data lake and then visibility, that foundation layers of OT and IT, if that is not digitized, if it is not connected, don't even start a use case. That's what I would say. The first time right, the fundamental reason is that. then uh, then it is about data quality and data integrity. If you have connected it, are you having the right quality of data? Are you having the data at the right point of time where you want the analytics to run? So you can do it at the edge, you can do it in the central environment as well. Now in the edge, more likely that you will have data in almost real time. But when it comes to the central data lake, let us say, then the processing that it takes for the data to reach your data lake, it takes time. And now your use case has to be looked at and say how quickly you have to analyze and understand and come out with the outcomes and results so that you can have a positive impact before it is too late. So then you decide, okay, this needs to run in the edge, or this needs to run this can run in the in the central infrastructure that you have. So this is a second step that I would say. Then the data integrity. Even if there is data available in the right time, can you confidently say that this data is accurate? So how do you make sure of that? You have to make sure that the source to the destination path is fully understood, and there is no data loss, data leakage, there is no interference coming in, so that the data integrity is maintained. If these fundamentals are not taken care, you apply any data algorithms, business users are not going to believe the outcomes. Now, once that fundamentals are taken care, then you have a proper framework on how to achieve. I would say the ethical and responsible AI implementation. One is a strategy that you have to follow, right? What I said earlier in terms of your data sets, confident about that data set, so that in pharma we have to be 100% accurate. It cannot be 99.9% as well, right? It comes to medicine and patient care. So how do you do that? You create a strategy of making sure you're using the right data sets for training your algorithms, your machine learning models and your GenAI generative algorithms. So the LLM models. And then once you have the strategy right, what I said earlier about data quality, data integrity gets taken care of. And then it is a governance on a going basis. How do you make sure this doesn't get diluted? How do you detect issues early enough? How do you prevent issues? How can you come in very quickly to identify these risks and mitigate them? And in the data governance, one is about this aspect. Then the second aspect is the data privacy, because depending on again what data we are talking about, this can actually become not only leading to inaccurate results, but it can also be a regulatory concern, where you can get subjected to penalties. And hence he should have a very controlled process, and that controlled process should be technical, the processes that you have, and the people. It's not different from any technology initiatives that we have done in the past. So the stakeholder engagement, getting the transparency, explainability of the algorithms that you're using, is it secure enough, is it robust enough, all those things have to be taken care in that controlled process. And then you have a education and awareness program, as well as a monitoring and evaluation program. So talent is a huge issue in this space, and hence this has to be taken care of proactively, so that you are not only always looking at external people to do things for you. You create a mechanism to train your own people, and they become self-sufficient as much as possible. Of course, there will be always some external help needed, but create that understanding within, and not just with the tech people, but also the data champions and other business stakeholders that you bring in, depending on the problem that you're trying to solve. This is what I would say, an overall framework that I could suggest here.
That's very, very insightful. And I'm sure out of this lake ocean of knowledge, there is much more to talk, discuss, explore, and we can really have one more session eventually where we can delve a little more deep and in detail into all these things. Now, but in the interest of time, I recommend audience, if you have any questions, feel free to post your comments. Even after this session, we can always get back to you. So, and I hope on that note, Mr. Sreeji, I thank you so much. It was very, very insightful. And Mr. Pavithran, it was fantastic. And I hope the audience found this session on Gen AI in Pharma both insightful and thought provoking. So, as we explored how AI is transforming production, quality, control, and compliance, it's clear that advancements hold exciting potential for the industry. And so, on that note, a big thank you to the speakers for all the insights and to the viewers for joining us. We look forward to continuing these kind of discussions and driving innovation together. So, please stay tuned for future sessions. And thank you once again for being part of this conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sri.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pavithran.